part 2. I accidentally turned it off, but I'm not going to quit. That's for sure. Not when I had such a good start going. I was talking about Remedios Varos, and I think probably, if you look into the history of surrealism, you'll probably find not just the misogynism that's very evident in many of the drawings, but you'll find that it was difficult for women to crack the core group. I don't know that, but I also, I was talking about how, you can't condemn the ideas of Karl Marx by condemning Mao and Stalin, for instance. And I think surrealism is the same way. By the way, McDonald has no shame here. He does this. There's a throwaway line about how Hector knows Marlene Dietrich. He says they'd met when Hector had undertaken some reluctant but lucrative last-minute script work for her picture Blonde Venus. He just shamelessly throws him in there. But in Indian literature, that's just something that is done. In classical Indian literature, everybody knows the story of Rama and Sita. But, just because the story's been told doesn't mean you can't tell it your own way. And one of my favorites, actually has, after Rama cast Sita out, after all the torment and the kidnapping and the murders and all that stuff, they're supposed to be living happily ever after, and she's banished because the crowd is, saying, this woman's tarnished. She spent, time alone with a man, Ravana, on Lanka, and you can't have that with a Hindu woman. And so Rama gives in to the crowd and casts her out into the forest. And my favorite, I don't know if he was probably long form poetry, so probably was a poet, but I can't remember which one it was. He ends up taking her in. That's what I would do. I mean, and Blonde Venus, if that was something that we told again and again, like the Hindus do, I would invite, Marlene Dietrich in there. And then just a couple pages later, he does something that's really funny. She said, "I'm a tremendous fan of yours, Mr. Lassiter. I read all of your novels, yours and Holly Martin's. I just finished his Lone Rider of Santa Fe. It's amazing how you both keep up that peppy pace. Très américain." Holly Martin's, of course, is the other main character, the main character in the third man. I thought my memory was going to fuck that one up. I wrote down here something about surrealism that I think is important, and if I can find it quickly, I'll say something about it, because the book is very much maybe even over the top anti-surrealist, but he's able to pull that off without sounding like he's catering to liberal values or feminist values or whatever. You get the idea that this is something that he really believes and something he feels, and so he says it. But what I came upon first, before I get to what I have to say about the surrealists, is just one thing I underlined. The last book, I chided him for not saying penis, but in this one, with the sex, he gets very explicit. I don't think he doesn't use penis, but he was careful washing down there, rubbed raw in some places. I mean, they did a lot of fucking, him and this woman. Um, okay, let's see. We got, and then she's sore too. She said, "I'm sure in places I never knew existed in me." So this one, I've got no complaint about the sex being too timid. Uh, oh, and here's another one that wins me over. Just without being, I was won over very quickly in this book, and it's a hefty one too. It's 380 pages. So it's a good thick one. Christ, he was starting to sound to himself like one of those how-to writing magazines he so loathed. Reminds me of me and my derisory assaults on the writers in the master class shit and all that. It drives me crazy. Surrealism as a natural thought perversion explodes from pre-rational. Yeah, so my view of surrealism is that it was a natural intellectual development from an overly rational or a overly rational society, and that it was a sort of inevitability, and as was Freud, and there's value to be had there in both, and that's all. I just think it's not all bullshit just because a lot of the people were just assholes. And I don't really know much about. Even after reading the book about Picasso's behavior towards women, I don't really know. You know, but it's really hard to know how to deal with a historic figure who produced extraordinary things, as Miller said, moving like an acrobat from style to style. That's what he said about Picasso in Tropic of Cancer. And, and by the way, Picasso is not in the book. Maybe he's mentioned once or twice, but he's not a character. I'm guessing that, one little treat in this book, there are a lot of chapters, and every chapter has an epigraph, and there's a lot about, rational thought about murder, and it's kind of sickening, some of the things that are said, and I think he means to express that. But there's some very different stuff as well. Francisco Franco is quoted on chapter 18 as, "I am responsible only to God and history." Well, yeah, okay. A lot of assholes think that way. But, murderous assholes, yeah, dangerous fucking fascists. And this guy is no reactionary. McDonald, I mean. And Hector Lassiter. They're worldly, and they know their history, especially McDonald. And, he'll fearlessly throw his characters into the Spanish Civil War for a short time. But he'll say a lot about it, and you believe that, whatever isn't serving the plot of the novel is, well, it actually is serving the plot of the novel, because there's no plot without the context, and he gets the context so well that it is just marvelous. Here he says, but he couldn't venture that supposition to Hem, not cunt struck as Hem had become, Martha Gellhorn. So he used cunt struck. Good for him. Tristan Zara, a man after my own heart. Craig McDonald. Zara says, there is no logic. The acts of life have no beginning and no end. Everything happens in a completely idiotic way. And I think he's right. And, well, but that's Dada. That ain't surrealism. And Dada had the sense to refrain from clearly being something and making declarations about rational declarations about irrationality, non-rationality, and so on. So surrealism wears on you. Although some of the paintings are fucking great. I don't know if I'm going to find any more leafing through here. I was going to take notes, but Aleister Crowley said that. I knew that cocksucker back in Paris. Hector says that. So he also has Aleister Crowley, of all people, in the book. So what is the plot of this book? Well, on the back of the book you find out that there's been some horrible killings, and they seem to be trying to duplicate works of surrealism. And they start in Key West in 1935, and then they continue in Mexico, although we don't follow that in the book. They continue in Spain in a way, and then back in Los Angeles. And there's some really great stuff about something maybe Roman Polanski should read. Something about a 15 or 16-year-old girl. Is my flashlight out of batteries? Okay. Well, so I guess we're going to have to do the rest of this in the dark. Can you see me? No. That's because I don't know if I can get a light on the... I don't know how to do that. So I'm not going to be able... Oh, yeah, the Black Dahlia. He seamlessly worked the Black Dahlia, the most famous murder case, perhaps, of the 20th century, into the novel seamlessly. It was brilliantly done. And, one thing I want to say about this book, okay, so it's 50 pages, 50 chapters, and so 50 epigraphs. But one thing I want to say about this book is that if you closely examine this book for verisimilitude, there are certain things that, have to happen, and so looks like I got possum eyes. Anyway, or no, those are red. Okay, I got albino possum eyes. No, those are red too. Anyway, I got some white eyes. Okay, that must be the glare off the glasses. There's no light, but there's glasses glare. I can't understand that. Anyway, what I wanted to say here was that when a book is as good as this one is, you just don't fucking care if something may or may not make sense. There were a couple times that just kind of flashed through my mind, like, isn't that too much of a coincidence? Or, but it was so weak that I just kept going. I mean, the book was so good that I just kept going. The writing is as good as it always is, if not better. More to my taste in that he was much more direct about the sexual parts, but also he covers the years 1935 to 1959, and later actually, because he follows Hemingway to his suicide. but you get a lot about Hemingway, and something that, I think it took a while for biographers of Hemingway to examine what happened to him in Africa with his two plane crashes, and it's likely that that did some permanent damage that led to his suicide. Even though they happened in the earlier half of the 50s, I believe. But it was two crashes in a short period of time, and he survived them both. But you also get Hemingway the asshole, and that's nice to see. Um, I disagree with McDonald's um, take on A Movable Feast. I thought it was crap, but that's disagreeing with the writer's opinion about something. It's much different from disagreeing about the politics, if the politics are extreme enough to matter, but they aren't in his case. They're what you call pragmatic. I think his politics, Lassiter's, and probably McDonald's. I don't know, but as a far left gentleman, at times gentleman, I called a man with a gun. I said to him, "Yebemti cherka," because he really got offensive. And I won't tell you the whole story, although it would fit with a Lassiter book, but it would have to lead to violence. And, he was a security guard taking money out of a bank machine. I saw him coming, and I made sure to break my conversation with the daughter of a friend of mine, the daughter meaning, under 18. And I didn't recognize her at first. She said hi to me, and I said, "Oh, Anna, hi, how are you?" Like that. And and then soon after, I saw this security guy coming. I thought, "Oh fuck, I got to get money," and I checked the bank before I go post some stuff. And this guy made a comment about how I wasn't in such a hurry when I was talking to the girl, and you motherfucker, that's the daughter of a friend of mine, you piece of shit. And it went on, and it got very Slovene, and so he was shouting to other people about me, and he backed off for a while because he was getting so angry, and he's got a gun, so and when I was done, all I was doing was checking my balance, but I was pretty slow about it. And then he came back there, I just let him have a few shots, and the last one was Yebemti Cherka, which means I fuck your daughter. Anyway, there's my ending. It made me feel like I was in a Hector Lassiter novel or in a Craig McDonald novel. Craig McDonald is fantastic. I don't like comparing crime series books to each other because they can't all be at the same level. But the bottom for McDonald seems to be higher than almost anybody else, and but this was the best of the three so far. I just have to say that because it was just a thrilling read, and not in the most conventional way, but just thrill. I was thrilled by the many moves he made, the chances he took, the descriptions of the hurricane were masterful, and there's so much information, historical, artistic, and Orson Welles' Lady from Shanghai is being filmed when he's in L.A. I found out you can watch that on YouTube, by the way. I've started it, and I can't wait to get to the final scene. So thanks for tuning in. Craig McDonald, thanks for the books. I don't have any more on me. I'm going to have to get more. It might take a couple of weeks to even order. So maybe in a month. Next book up for you people is This one, look at that. And talk about surreal. It's a hat in the dark. This is Translator's Bride by Jose Gais. Bye bye.